Alright, so first thing we are going to do is get all these little tomatoes chopped up here. Get the little tomatoes chopped up. The big ones, you don't have to be too selective in how we do this. We're gonna mash it all up after. I am using a beefsteak tomato. Literally, it's all they had left at the grocery store because we're kind of in that pandemic deal right now, and I really wanted a fresh tomato sauce. But some of the tricks I'm going to show you, you are going to be able to use kind of any tomato in a couple hours and have a great tasting sauce. So I'm not overly concerned. So we kind of have all these chunks and slices here. Oh. Chunks and slices from 2, just right up. Just try to cut off as much around that core as I can. And this is actually going to come and boil right down to it's almost nothing. And again, it doesn't really matter how big you'll do it. This isn't your typical gone out and mashed sauce. There is going to be texture to it. I like that. If you watched my Instagram over the last couple of years, I have always, there's always like ground meat in tomato sauce or polenta with tomato sauce. I've always really enjoyed, I like tomato sauce, so I kind of match it with everything. Today I have some naan bread and some chorizo. I'm gonna make like some sort of a ghetto pizza for lunch today with a little bit of ricotta, and I needed tomato sauce for it. So okay, now that we have that, I had some olive oil in there already. Those cherry tomatoes are going to make this a little sweet. Hi, Boo. Add a little bit of salt. A couple of those. Hey, Boo. You guys see the cat walking around back there. Hey, you want to be on TV? Not much, because we're going to go back and add some seasonings to it after. You can kind of see all the liquid that's already started to be pulled out of these. Let's get the lid on them, medium high, and let that sit. We're going to cut up some of our other vegetables now. Ghetto onion from the fridge. Just kind of clean the top of that off. This isn't 100% fresh, but that's okay. That's the beauty thing about making sauces and soups and that sort of thing, is you can just kind of clean your fridge out with everything that you have. And again, you can keep it chunky. I like texture in the sauce. So that's fine. Get that off. yeah, some garlic. Again, this is more ghetto garlic from that I had lying around. Tops off it. I like it pretty garlicky, so we'll do that. Hit the bottom off. Okay, do I want to press this? Or do I want to slice it? I think I'm going to press it. I think I want one more. Oh, that's smelling really good right now. See how the tomatoes are already starting to break down? Those cherry tomatoes take a little bit longer, but that's okay. Up to high and let that stew. Now kind of have some little bit of added funness to this sauce. I don't normally add too much. I add some spice from here, but this is kind of like the base sauce. It's tomato, onion, garlic. I love it and compare it with anything, and then when you warm it up later, you can add other things to it. For whatever meal you want, you can add some meat to it if you're putting it in a pasta or whatever. Whatever, it's fine. So let that simmer away. But today I'm going to be adding spinach and some mushroom. And again, because we're going to go with a little bit more of a hearty sauce, I think this will be okay. And some green onion. I'm going to use kind of the last, or the first, I guess, bit of the onion there. I want that white part. I want the little bit of pulpiness from it as well. Give these a quick wash. So we're going to kind of go from about here, and this is great stuff here, but if you use it, it cooks down really quick, so I suggest saving it for putting it later on if you want in your sauce, or I'm actually going to keep some of it for one of the flatbreads I'm making later. It's the pulpiness of the rooting that I want. Kind of take it off a little there. See how the stalks are still full? Oh, I love that flavor. Okay, not too big of pieces. I'm gonna fire this onion. Stewing away quite nicely. Green onions. Beautiful, that color in there. I want to make some stuffed mushrooms later, so I'm not going to use the big ones. I like to leave the stems in, just again the meatiness of it. I like in the sauce, especially when you're not adding meat into the sauce. These don't break down quite as well as the other vegetables, so you just get a fine chop on them. So we're going to pull the stumps out of this. And I am going to use these in the sauce. last thing is the spinach. This cooks down really quick, so you don't have to put it in right away. Kind of bind it. It's a real coarse chop on it, and if you don't get all of it, that's fine. Still working on my first coffee. Turn this down to medium low now. Cute Cabela spoons, they actually have deer on them. Now, here is what I like to do that's a little different. Balsamic vinegar. And my gosh, will the balsamic vinegar make a difference in the flavor of this. See how it's not mixing in? See how thick that sauce is? Now we're going to add Cabela's rosemary. Oh, I'm covered in salt. Gosh darn it. I wanted the bowl for to see. About that, maybe a little bit more. And this stuff is delicious. And then all-purpose seasoning. About the same. Nice and dark and rich this sauce is. Oh, it's good. This is a trick that I learned from one of our guests. Parmesan rind. Now we're going to add all this spinach. Just kind of fold it in. Doesn't that look just amazing? So we have it on medium, what is it, medium low right now. Kick it up to Like if you have a stove where you are 0 to 10, 10 being the hottest, you want it like a 6.5 or a 7. Gonna let it cook for a little bit with the lid off, let it bubble away, let it reduce down, get nice and thick there. We're gonna cut this and then keep moving. Okay, so it's been about 20 minutes or so now, maybe 25 minutes. You're gonna want to keep checking it and stirring so it doesn't burn to the bottom of your pot or pan, or I'm using a wok because that's all I have. So keep stirring it, but at this point, when it's been nice and simmering for a while, it's cooked down, it's thickened up, you just want to back the heat right off to low. And just start to let it cool down now. You're going to start burning off flavor. I did add a little bit more of the rosemary spice to it. You want to make sure that you're tasting your sauce as you go along. Just a little weak in that category, but other than that, once you get on and going, it's gravy from there. So, well, it's sauce, but you know what I mean. Again, this is something that you can add anything to. There's two things that in this kind of learning experiment that you can always have in your fridge. One is tomato sauce, and the other one is a chicken stock. You can kind of make anything to those two things. I commute a long ways to work and back, so I'm in traffic for about 2.5 hours every day. So when I get home, I'm going to want to throw something together quick, just so have some time to do stuff later on. I don't want to come home and cook for an hour and a half every single time. So if you can plan ahead and make some sauce and have some chicken stock, that goes a long way into adding to other dishes throughout the week. So that's a little thing that I have. Now we just wait for it to cool down. So all that's left now is take it off the heat, let it come down to room temperature. I'd leave it out for a little bit before you refrigerate it or whatever. You can use it right away, so a lot of times I'll make this in conjunction with a pasta and I can just throw it together at this point. So lots of options. It's probably one of the most versatile things. It's delicious, it's healthy, and yeah, it'll make people smile. So thank you for tuning into this one. You're going to see a lot of tomato sauce used, so I thought let's put together a tomato sauce video so I don't have to show you how to make tomato sauce every single time. This is the base.